Ascension messages. Questions and answers, emotions, tools for transformation, non-emotional 5D Federation.
Question. I would like to revisit the tools for transformation to better understand emotions, and how best to deal with them, as I journey forward as an individual and together as a human race.
Answer. It is not important at this stage to describe each emotion, because this requires an interpretation that varies from one person to another. However, it is important to mention that anger, even mild irritation, is caused by the idea or concept of not being able to modify or change the course of what is happening, and also what you do not want to happen. This idea of integration or separation can be good or bad, the feelings of happiness or joy, or the feelings of separation or sadness. Understanding this concept is a valuable tool, and can be a compass or guide, whereby a positive emotion moves you to what is correct, and a negative emotion moves you in the direction of something you do not want, something incorrect. We can introduce you to the concept that if it excites you, then it is right for you, and if it does not excite you, then it is not right for you. This understanding, of course, is a viewpoint from a higher awareness or density. However, this understanding is not always necessarily the case, especially when viewed from 3D, or even 5D. And in this case, caution is required, especially without knowing what is really behind these emotions and feelings. The only objective reality here is the individual's consciousness and objectivity, in their evaluation of what is happening to them emotionally. In other words, there are no universal values that define each occurrence, even within a single density such as 3D or 5D. Reality is a personal interpretation that has been based upon previous experiences, that may or may not have been understood or integrated, and these perceptions may differ from one person to the next. In other words, it is not something objective and fixed, however can vary with personal interpretations. Emotions are part of every being with a soul. These emotions are what characterizes that soul, even if it wants to suppress them in favor of logic and rational thought. Integration means it does not have to be one or the other. When you are source or a whole being, being the source, aligned with the whole or original source, and at the same time experiencing not being aligned with the whole at the same time, you may choose the need not to experience emotions. So, what are these emotions that come out to express themselves, especially from lower densities with more apparent strength? This can occur through the illusion of being a person separate from the whole, the illusion of being two persons. The whole and the part of the whole, creating 2 points of attention. You do not go to the source after dying, this is the perception of the soul, the illusion of being separated, for you are never separated through the feelings of separation. The emptiness or vacuum experienced can be partly filled through the emotions or the perception of having emotions. The positive emotions of feeling love, happiness and integration are an indication that you are moving towards source and the dissolution of the illusion of separation. This is why it is a positive feeling and a higher frequency, moving the soul towards integrating with the source. However, negative feelings with their associated emotions indicate that you are moving in the opposite direction with the apparent separation from source. These emotions give the soul the feelings of rejection from source, or the feelings of alienation from the source. These feelings are often mirrored with the rejection of a partner or loved one. However, in itself everything is either separation or integration with source, experienced in mild or experienced in degrees of strength that depends upon the values of experience of each person. When in the density soup of shared or collective awareness frequencies, as in 3D, it appears that each soul shares its personal reality with the masses as at first sight they seem similar, however, they are never the same. Therefore, events are not so predictable, especially what is considered as good or bad. Reality therefore becomes the perception of the person influenced by the whole society, and the influence of the individual. This is why an individual experiencing, say, strong rejection to something may be good for them, as they work through this process, or on the other hand, they may want to experience the same again, even stronger. That would be harmful in the short term, however, it can create another opportunity to work through a process to grow and expand their awareness. In other words, knowing that a positive emotion is a guide towards integration, and a negative emotion is a guide towards what we do not want. In short, when something is negative and we start to observe it, it becomes something positive by changing our perception about it, and with this integration changes the emotional reaction to that situation. It is here we can apply our understanding by applying our logic to analyze the emotional situation.
Tools for transformation.
1. Recognize. Each time we have a negative emotional reaction, it can be viewed as a positive by applying an understanding of why we are feeling this way, and why we are feeling bad about this particular situation.
However, we must never discredit the emotions that we are feeling. Tools for transformation. 2. Validate.
By accepting the situation and understanding that the emotions are caused by our own interpretation of reality, we can cause a change by simply saying to ourselves, "It is okay for me to feel this way," thereby validating the experience. If you feel sad, accept these feelings of sadness and feel the feelings. It is not important for the reasons at this moment of why they are there, simply give yourself space to feel the feelings and do not fight the feelings.
You can transmute them simply by feeling them. Tools for transformation.
3.
Feel the feelings. You are programmed to feel that you should always be happy, and that it is wrong to have negative emotions, that it is wrong to feel sad. There are drugs for this syndrome that many call depression. It is not wrong to feel this way. By accepting these feelings, you transmute them.
Question. What about the non-emotional races?
Answer. Every person with a soul has emotions, including the Andromedeans, Arcturians and other races.
However, in comparison with the emotional races, they have a less intense frequency range of emotions.
They do have emotions, some minimized or less intense, however others have chosen not to express themselves through emotion.
These we have called the non-emotional races. However, they do have emotions, but are not expressing them. When living in 3D in a dense superfrequencies, there is a lot of separation experienced from source, that in turn triggers these emotions based in fear and separation. Even in 5D there is an emotional range of frequencies, including the Pleiades. This range of frequencies are similar to humans in 3D, however in 5D the created realities are often more comfortable, and the societies have created more planetary peace. However, there are still quite serious problems that have to be dealt with in 5D, and when this occurs, very strong emotions are triggered. And in these cases the Palladians are not used to this type of emotional reaction, so often extreme emotions surface, including anger, despair, sadness, and fear, and it is in these cases that it can be argued that these races have more intense emotions than humans. Emotional balancing goes hand in hand with ascension, progressing towards higher densities. The higher the density, the more data that can be processed, and hand in hand with this process, the higher the frequency of the person as it grows the soul. More data, more understanding, more awareness with this perceptional interpretation of events, that trigger an emotional reaction automatically changing, and with the increase of perceptional awareness, allows you more explanations for why these events are occurring. In other words, the higher your frequency, the higher your density, the more things you can perceive and understand. When you apply them to yourself, you can integrate them. With this integration, more love flows within, moving you closer to the source. However, you also understand the negative in the same way, and in this case, the feelings of anger has been transcended.
Remember, anger is a valid emotion, however it is the avoidance of feeling helplessness, hopelessness, powerlessness and an inability to resolve the things that trigger these emotions. By this understanding, you automatically move to absorb what was previously negative, both for you and those around you.
This is transmutation, you dissolve it. You grow and move above the negativity by integrating it.
As you grow and change, your world around you also grows and changes. This leads to a higher density where you dissolve negative emotions, because you no longer need them, and they no longer serve you to experience them.
Never suppress emotions, always face them without resistance.
In this way, those negative emotions will dissolve on their own. Understanding why you get triggered automatically helps you move beyond them.
The emotions themselves are there by the desire of the soul to achieve unity with the Source through integration. They are your compass towards Source.
And on that journey you grow and understand through contrast.
Your compass shows you the right direction, and your emotions indicate your path.
All densities in biological form will feel positive and negative emotions. You will feel love and joy, or sadness and fear, all on a relative scale in one intensity or another. However, you will not react like you did before. You will always feel something because this is how the soul journeys, feeling the apparent separation from Source.
Question. What about the non-emotional races in charge of the 5D Federation, and their logical approach to humanity?
Answer. Logic is not necessarily the right path, as eventually it all turns cold and senseless. The 5D Federation could be operating from a logical point of view with what they consider convenient or otherwise, without taking into account feelings and emotions felt by humans, who are the ones who have to live and feel their way through the process dictated by the 5D Federation. These logical races do not understand how other races use emotions, because they themselves operate from a rational and logical point of view. They can lose their compass because they became a sterile society, ultimately without purpose. Remember, emotions are not empty experiences without meaning, as having been demonized by the non-emotional races. This conscious reflection is just erroneous conjecture about what actually emotions are. Some of these races want to suppress their emotions because of the problems that emotions give them, and in turn, they give problems to others.
Emotions are not problems, they are only indicators.
The solutions to emotions, especially those that other races do not want to understand, is what is required: more understanding, more awareness and more information. You cannot be a non-emotional being without having separation from Source, no matter how logical you are, otherwise that component will always be missing. Logic may help you get closer to Source, however, discarding what is not convenient will only serve to create an impasse, making Source and integration unattainable without this important component that only emotions give you: integration on the frequency of love.
Tools for transformation. 4.
Choose again. Hold the highest idea of who you think you are, and live that reality every moment of every day.
The highest frequency in any density is integration on the frequency of love.
This is the soul's journey, this is the Creator's journey, experiencing all. Tawana, Tawa, adventure with joy, with all its multiple meanings.